Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
In this show we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 1, Episode 14, The Storyteller. In this episode, Bashir and O'Brien go down to a planet and have to tell stories to fight a big sort of milk monster in the sky, and Jake and Nog bond with a young lady who's trying to negotiate a treaty on Deep Space Nine. So, what was your opinion of this one?
This episode is bad.
Yes, correct.
It is very bad.
It's interesting because often you say episodes are bad because there's no character development, but there was actually quite a lot of character development in this one. Despite that, it still managed to suck.
It completed the unlikely feat of furthering the redemption of Bashir. I actually liked him here. There was that scene in the runabout, do I know you? Asking O'Brien. And this is a perfect use of O'Brien here. We get that great framing and we see his face. And Bashir talks about how annoying he is. And then he says, I suppose it's just a nervous habit, which kind of echoes that O'Brien line that we keep going back to, the nature line. But this time, this feels different because it feels like an indictment of how Bashir has been written previously to this episode and the previous episode, Battle Lines. So they're continuing the trend of making Bashir a real character. And so I really liked him here. And there was, later in the episode, those three ladies offering themselves. God. And his comment there was relatively restrained. Old Bashir would have made some incredibly lewd comment, but other than the Bashiring, this episode is bad.
It has quite a lot of good ingredients, a lot of O'Brien time. Bashir being a sort of charming-ish jerk. Jake and Nog having fun, but God, none of it gels well. Everything's a mess. Nothing's properly resolved. So maybe we should just jump straight into ripping it to bits, seeing as that seems to be the order of the day.
Yeah, that seems to be the natural course to take.
Shall we discuss the B plot first? Jake and Nog and Varys, the lady or girl, I guess.
Might as well, since you already brought it up.
Yes, this plot line was preachy and terrible.
Yeah, and it further cemented for me that Jake and Nog are awful characters and they're just annoying. And bringing in the young girl, I thought she was really good. There was really confidence in her performance, which highlighted how bad Jake and Nog are.
Yeah, you know Nog is actually not a child.
I did not know that.
Well, the actor who plays him is not a child.
Yeah, I got your meaning. I didn't know that.
Obviously, it's a child in the show. I think he's a young adult at the time of filming, but...
Yes, that's right. He was 24 years old.
This may be wrong.
No, it is correct.
Wow, that's surprising because I was going to point out he's worse out of Nog and Jake. Nog is worse. He's way over-exaggerated and not campy in the good way that plain and simple Garrick was.
Oh, but he's a Ferengi. They all talk in that kind of elaborate manner.
I guess, but Quark doesn't annoy me.
Yeah, but he's Quark, and he also wasn't in this episode.
He got splashed with a drink.
Oh yeah, I'm still charging you for that. That could be a quote of the show.
Yeah, this episode charged us with our time.
Okay, so she's the tetrarch of her people, discussing a treatise with the Navat guys, which wasn't really shown or resolved.
Yeah.
Nog said 2 lines. He said, rule of acquisition number 9, opportunity plus instinct equals profit. And she went, oh yeah, maybe they have something I want. As if, like, how could they discuss this for 5 hours and she hasn't even thought about what she wants to get out of these discussions?
She's new to negotiations. I don't know.
It doesn't matter how new you are. After 5 hours, you'd at least have discussed it, or the other guys would have asked at some point, like, what do you want?
We don't know what those 5 hours consisted of. It could have just been Cisco trying to mediate using obtuse baseball analogies.
Yeah, and I guess because this episode, or this plotline, was vague and full of really forced exposition, that I really didn't care about the discussions. It wasn't even resolved in the end. It didn't tell you what happened or why, so that's fine because I didn't really care. So, whatever. Who cares that she can't negotiate? Maybe she was just giving the silent treatment or something. Stalling.
Yeah, maybe she silently sat there for 5 hours.
That would explain why Cisco called her in and said, you suck at negotiation. Yeah. Then they go breaking and entering for fun. They break into security, which you would think would be harder.
Yeah, that was troubling.
And they just laugh it off. Ha ha ha, what good fun. And at the end, Odo says, oh, you have to clean up the mess you made.
The silver lining to that part is that I keep hoping Odo will use that incident as an excuse to enforce a new rule that Deep Space Nine can no longer accommodate children, and then Nog and Jake could be written off the show.
They're fine. They're good at dangling.
Yeah, we got another feet dangling shot.
I don't know. I don't have too much to say about this plotline. Oh, there was a line that Jake said which retconned a previous line that Odo said.
The amount of time he spends in the bucket?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you remember the details?
I don't remember the previous one, but when Jake said, I think he said 16.
Yep.
It hit my ears wrong, although I don't remember what Odo said before.
In A Man Alone, he says it's 18 hours.
That's a weird detail to get wrong.
Yeah, considering it's now 16 hours for the rest of the show. They obviously decided 18 was a bit too much. Which is stupid because there's 6.5 dozen, really.
So, I don't mind spoiling myself on this. So, Odo will say 16 hours later in the show's run?
Yes, 16 is the canonical value. So, I guess the error is really in A Man Alone when he says it's 18.
Okay, I was going to write it off as, oh, he's just a stupid kid. He doesn't know what he's talking about, but...
That's true. This episode
I
doesn't
guess
necessarily
that's not true.
Force the error into A Man Alone because you could excuse Jake for not knowing. But when it gets mentioned the next time by Odo, that will enforce that there has been a retconned value.
That's strange. Out of all the things to change.
Yep. Plus, I think we've maybe fulfilled a task we set ourselves to find a more pedantic error than zoology.
This episode saw the return of Odo's creepy smile.
Yes, he always smiles when children are in trouble. Or at least
it's a good time to smile.
This time and the previous time.
Oh, is that why he smiled the previous time? I don't remember.
It was when the guy and his newly rescued daughter, the dissembling guy, can't remember his name.
His name was Croden.
Were getting sent to the Vulcans into political asylum.
Okay.
And she says, are you a shapeshifter? And he smiles and says, yep. Bye.
Let's talk about the awful milk monster plot.
I thought the actual milk monster looked pretty good.
Oh yeah, the actual effects I'm fine with, especially when you consider this show's age.
And O'Brien was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, O'Brien's reliable so far. Just throw O'Brien
Reliable
into
O'Brien.
yeah, just throw O'Brien into a plot to make it ever so slightly better.
Yeah, unfortunately, even with O'Brien's magic, this plot was, I feel, beyond saving.
Yeah. So when they first showed the milk monster, I was hoping it was a Wizard of Oz thing where there's a man behind the proverbial curtain and he's creating this fake threat in order to unite the people.
Yes.
But then it's a real manifestation and it just comes off as so stupid.
But the original Syrah did make it somehow from
Yeah.
the orb fragment. They tried to figure out what was going on. They even brought up what you said, and eventually they just gave up.
Yeah.
But there was so much borderline offensive stuff in this episode, in this plotline.
Go on.
And just confusing as well, confusing stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to start rattling through stuff I found stupid.
I'm sure you have a lot.
So they turn up to a place with a severe medical emergency without even asking them what it is. So if it was a plague, then they would die, and that would be terrible. As it has already been established that they can't solve every virus within time.
And they scan the place after they've already landed. They don't find out any information. What's a medical emergency? What's the climate of this area? It's they just, yeah, it seems fine. All right, let's check out this guy.
What if there was poison gas everywhere or something? Okay, so then they turn up. This old guy says, "Oh, you can be in charge, O'Brien." I think this is already the point where I thought this episode was irredeemably stupid. He has to tell a story which you could fit on one sheet of toilet paper.
Yeah.
And all these villagers send their love beams up to the milk monster, which the milk monster looked cool, and its little tendrils of explosion were pretty good. But the yelling power going into it, no, that was not good. So they're in this village. There's how many villagers? How many do you think there were?
20. It didn't look like many.
Yeah. Well, I looked it up. There was 30 extras for the villagers. So let's say a lot of people don't bother going to see the Dalrock. So there's 100 people living in the village. Then O'Brien has to bless a baby. How backwards are these people supposed to be? They have spaceships, yet they still want someone to bless a baby. Plus, they start treating the Syrah like he's a celebrity, like he's Kanye West or something. That's the only celebrity
they all
I know.
turn into paparazzi.
But they live. There's 100 people. It wouldn't go weak at the knees every time some dude walked in.
But it's the Syrah.
But who cares?
But
It's the guy that lives down the road.
You have to show reverence for the Syrah, the magic storyteller.
But
Man.
why? There's lines like, if you don't tell a story, who could? Anyone could. It's really easy.
Literally anyone.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier the 3 ladies come in to offer their services. That is the point at which I thought this is borderline offensive. I don't know, it wasn't shown that they were. They were being offered by a man to another man, so it's not at all clear. That could
We
be
know where
sex
they were
slavery
going.
or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
In the context it's shown and how backwards these people are portrayed, that would be taken to be sexual slavery or something. I don't know. They should not have written that in. I think that was... It draws on a lot of history of Earth that is not very nice. And using it as a sort of light-hearted way to make O'Brien stumble and say, ha ha ha.
Isn't this funny how O'Brien's uncomfortable, which he should be because this is gross?
Yes. I did like how he gave about 4 or 5 excuses before mentioning he has a wife. Like, he doesn't even want to think about Keiko.
No one
But I
does.
know we can't talk about her, though. She wasn't in the episode.
Keiko's rule.
Yeah, only if she earns it can we hate on her. She's just the Skylar of this series.
So she ends up being an empathetic character?
No, we're not allowed to talk about Keiko.
Darn it, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, then O'Brien, I've probably skipped over other things I found stupid. There was a lot. O'Brien goes to do the story, and he hasn't revised at all or done anything to work towards solving the Del Rock situation.
Yeah, just wing it.
He was pretty funny when he was winging it. It made me giggle, but it was odd that if he had been given such responsibility, he wouldn't put effort in. He already saw the day before it like blew up some platform and injured some people and stuff. So people are going to die if he messes this up.
Yeah, and they were told this whole village will be wiped out if this milk monster is not defeated.
Upwards of 80 people could be killed.
That's a number of people.
That's all of them. That was the joke I was trying to make.
Yeah. I thought it was weird that they even stuck around in the first place. They came there, they found out, oh, this guy's just dying. We can't do anything. And then they tell them, hey, this monster is coming around tonight, and there's a chance it might kill all of us. But you guys should just stick around anyway.
Well, they are Federation guys. They're kind of honor bound to do right by people or something. I don't know if they are actually obliged to. But the way the show is written, they will help people out. But realistically, yes, they would have said, wow, that's terrible. Let us know how you get on with that. Yeah, anyway, that plotline ends and nothing is resolved. They just leg it.
And the conclusion to that plot is bad, too, because we're told what's going to happen before it happens. They say, oh, this is your chance to prove you're the real Sarah. And then they could have just done that, but they didn't trust us to make that connection or even to talk about that after it happened. So we're told he's going to prove himself before he proves himself. And then so when it happens, we don't care. We've already been told.
Well, that guy was an idiot anyway.
Yeah.
Complete moron. He tries to murder O'Brien. He just tries to stab him. Then they have this very strange fight where they're all holding the knife together, which looks a bit more like sort of interpretive dance than an actual stabbing fight. Then O'Brien says, that's enough. That's enough, what, murder for one day? And if he had murdered him, how... He says the Sarah has to have the complete support of the people. So his plan was they don't support him. So if he murders O'Brien, and there will be no doubt about who did this, because there would be really only one suspect, then suddenly the people will just rise up in support of him. Like, wow, you've really got what it takes to be Sarah.
He could play it off as some sort of ritual. Oh, the Sarah told me to stab him 37 times.
Yeah, yep. And then after he attempted to murder a Federation officer, they just let him be in charge of a bunch of villagers because he's clearly not a psychopath.
Yeah, he's not unstable. He'll be fine. As long as he has those robes on.
As long as he's power tripping, he'll be okay. Okay, I can't remember anything else that I really wanted to rip to shreds because I think I've blanked out most of the rest of the episode.
Yeah, as you should. This episode is not worth remembering. I do want to bring up Cisco's baseball analogy. Kira expresses concern, and then Cisco says, "This is not my first time up at the plate," which is not reassuring at all. Experience at the plate doesn't mean anything in baseball. Great players strike out all the time. It can still go horribly wrong. It was a stupid thing to say, and I understand why Kira was not convinced.
Well, she probably doesn't know anything about baseball.
Yeah, that's the impression I got from her
He was
reaction.
trying to fob her off with a dodgy baseball analogy, hoping that she wouldn't call him on it. He could have said, "Oh, don't worry, I've struck out many times." She doesn't know if that's good or bad. So, when you combine one bad plot line with another bad plot line, you get this episode.
That is correct. A negative and a negative do not make a positive here.
So I guess it's additive rather than multiplicative.
Yes, unfortunately.
Well, it was good to see O'Brien and Bashir together. That was the only takeaway I think from this episode. Their relationship was humorous and fun. Call me Julian, etc. It made me think that the episode was going to end with O'Brien saying, "Call me Miles." But in the end, it flipped that round.
Yeah,
You have to call me
return to the
Julian.
status quo.
Okay, sir. But
It was nice that that plot line stemmed from those little moments that we've had in previous episodes where O'Brien clearly has disdain for Bashir, and so they finally paired them in an extended plot line. It's just a shame the plot line was awful.
I think they bonded a little. Do you have a quote of the show? I will understand if you don't.
Sort of. You already said it. Opportunity plus instinct equals profit. And that's true.
Okay, well, onwards.
And upwards, I hope, as far as quality.
Well, it would be difficult to go downwards. Although I may eat my words, we'll have to see.
I'm still charging her for that drink.